The 2012 Democratic National Convention, of course, has now come to an end with President Obama's acceptance of his party's renomination.
4 years ago, Mr. Obama promised change. This time he appealed for more time to finish the job. ABC's Karen Travers joining us live from Charlotte. Thanks for hanging with us this Friday morning, Karen.
Good morning, Paula. Good morning, Rob. We're in here right now. They're vacuuming up all the confetti off the floor, and it's very quiet in here. But last night, this place was rocking. President Obama brought down the House with a speech to his supporters. He used the word hope more than a dozen times, and he asked Americans at home to stay with him on a journey back to prosperity. President Obama tried to recapture some of that 2008 magic. With 2/3 of Americans saying the country's heading down the wrong track, he had to give them optimism, so he went back to a familiar theme.
Hope, 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 hope.
But he acknowledged his political reality.
The truth is, it will take more than a few years for us to solve challenges that have built up over decades.
The president said the election boiled down to a choice between two fundamentally different visions for the future.
Our friends down in Tampa at the Republican convention were more than happy to talk about everything they think is wrong with America. But they didn't have much to say about how they'd make it right.
The president's challenge is convincing frustrated Americans that his plan will.
But know this, America, our problems can be solved. Our challenges can be met.
Before the president, it was Vice President Biden playing the role of attack dog, revving up the crowd with a slam on Mitt Romney.
Governor Romney said that as president, he would take a jobs tour. Well, with his support for outsourcing, it's going to have to be a foreign trip.
And earlier, a powerfully poignant moment. Former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords at center stage, leading the emotional crowd in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Liberty and justice for all.
Today, the president, vice president, and their wives will all hit the campaign trail together just as the August jobs numbers come out. And Rob and Paula, that's a very critical report, and it's certainly going to make an impression on voters' minds. It might even be more significant than any speech they heard over the last 2 weeks.
It's about the economy, stupid. That's the phrase you hear a lot in politics, Karen. And how did Joe Biden do last night? He was a little bit in attack dog mode, a typical role for the Veep.
He was, Rob. This was a classic Joe Biden speech, but at the same time, it was a more somber Joe Biden. He slammed the Romney-Ryan ticket. He went through with a lot of the lines that we've heard him say on the campaign trail. Osama bin Laden is dead. General Motors is alive. But he delivered this speech in a much more sober way than we've heard. He's usually so fired up on the campaign trail. Last night, he really made a compelling argument for President Obama's re-election, almost better than the president gave himself just a couple minutes after that. Rob and Paula, the way Joe Biden speaks about the president, he is flat out gushing about him. He really likes President Obama, and he loves talking about him and loves trying to convince voters. Can you imagine if you had a coworker give a speech like he gave last night about you? You'd probably be blushing. So give it a shot, Rob.
Rob would do the same for me, right?
That's right.
Absolutely.
Okay, Karen, two things I've got to ask you. Did it rain today in Charlotte? Because Democrats were concerned that it was going to rain. That's why they moved the venue last minute indoors. And did it make a difference in that more intimate environment for the president?
First things first, it started pouring mid-afternoon, about 3 o'clock, downpours. People were outside running for cover, trying to get out of the rain. I spoke to two Obama officials tonight who said that when that happened, they were all inside, but they started cheering. They were so relieved that it rained and this wasn't canceled for nothing. It definitely dimmed the environment a little bit. I was there in Denver on the field in 2008, and you just never saw a scene like that before, with tens of thousands of people all focused on Barack Obama, all cheering. Just an electric environment. Tonight was big. People were very excited. He really got the crowd going, but it just didn't feel the same. One thing you'll notice, I think we talked about this last week, there were no balloons. They couldn't set up the balloons in time because of that switch from outside to inside. They literally couldn't put them up in the ceiling. So they had confetti guns shooting out over the crowd, but it wasn't in all the areas, and I think a lot of the delegates were a little disappointed they didn't get rained on by confetti.
We've had full balloon coverage here on ABC, so we've covered that from end to end about those balloons. Real quick, 10 seconds, Karen. Was this a home run for the president in terms speech-wise? He's known for his speeches, or more like a double or a single hit?
We'll give him maybe a ground rule double. It wasn't his finest speech. He didn't deliver the argument. Yeah. Yeah, didn't deliver the argument as best as he could, but he's got 60 more days to do it between now and Election Day.
All right, thanks to ABC's Karen Travers.
She knows her baseball.
Yeah, that's right. That's number one. Number two, say hello to the cleaning crew there in the center for us. We appreciate you being out with us. Thanks, Karen.